3D! Hiya!
I know it's really predictable and cliche to criticize and make fun of Nintendo, but damn it, they just make it way too easy. So for those who may not know, Nintendo just dropped a bombshell on everybody that they're remaking Star Fox 64 for like, what, the fourth time now? And I don't think the fanfare for it is particularly strong. I didn't even know there was a trailer for it until a few hours before I had to go to bed the night before I started working on this script. Of course, since it was just the title of the game in the thumbnail, I had no idea what I was in for. But when I saw the trailer, boy was I in for a surprise when I found out they took a page from Paramount's original design for Sonic the Hedgehog. But hey, if this is like the Sonic movie, then at least we have time to protest it before it comes out. Give Nintendo a nudge to fix this garbage and give the characters real designs that fit the... Oh, this game is done. Why the fuck would you do that? Why is this the very first announcement for the game and the game releases in 1 month? You're not giving people enough time to soak in the release of the game or enough marketing to properly build it up. That's like if Capcom released a trailer for a new Okami game and then went, oh, by the way, the game comes out tomorrow. You need to build more anticipation for your product than that. Otherwise, it feels like something that you just want to throw out there for the sake of making a quick buck. But hey, if it results in less people buying this trash, then I guess I'm for it. I mean, just look at this. These are some of the worst designs I have ever seen in a Nintendo game. Why did you even do this when the designs from the latest Super Mario Galaxy movie were right there? You know those complaints people make about hyper-realistic designs on characters that are meant to be cartoon characters, resulting in them looking like ugly CGI from a Hollywood movie? That's what they did here. These designs feel like something you'd see from the dumpster behind Chuck E. Cheese. Actually, that's not a fair comparison because the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics are more convincing. Nothing looks natural about these designs. They have no sense of restraint and just wanted to make them as uncomfortable to look at as possible. They look really flaky and mutated, and the expressions feel limited because there's no room for them to emote if they want to keep that hyper-realistic look. And the movements are just stiff, like they're an Imagineer at Disney struggling to move around in their costumes. There's no weight to what they're doing, so there's no room for any personality. I'm actually trying to remember if anyone even smiled in this trailer. They all look so dead-eyed and bored in spite of the fact they're in the middle of a galactic war. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the logic behind this. Why would they make changes to these characters' designs when they were already perfectly fine? Even the Adventure and Assault games had less restraint and were more faithful to the original character models. For God's sake, the flippin' plushies look more faithful to the original designs than the actual designs. What was so wrong with just building on the models from Star Fox Zero? They already had a modern update and just ignored it for another modern update that looks like someone vomited on the TV screen. You remember those fake live-action posters they used to advertise the original game? With all those uncomfortable facial designs and lifeless looks as Fox just stares into your soul? I feel like that's where they got the inspiration for these crappy designs. This feels like something they would do if they wanted to do a live-action movie. Just filthy, dirty CGI that removes the charm and art direction of the original games. And you might be thinking, oh, you're just a predictable doom-scroller who wants to complain about the designs and neglect the actual game. Well, what the hell is there even to talk about? Because even ignoring the terrible character designs, the trailer doesn't look impressive. It opens with Star Fox defending Corneria from an Andross invasion, just like the original. You can fire charged shots and bombs, just like the original. You can do barrel rolls, just like the original. You can drive the Landmaster in the Blue Marine, just like the original. You can play up to 7 levels at a time with branching paths, just like the original. Even Cat shows up to rescue you while flirting with Falco, just like the original. Oh wow, so cool. It's like the exact same stuff I can do by just as easily plugging in my old Nintendo 64 and playing the original for free. You really expect me to pay money for this? What, because you gave the levels shinier looking graphics? This isn't the mid to late 2000s anymore. It's not exactly mind-blowing to give an old game updated graphics, you guys. I looked really hard to find something of value and there's just nothing here. They're not doing anything to update the gameplay or add anything new to how you play it compared to the original. They're not experimenting with or building upon the old system like they did with Resident Evil 4. They're just recycling every single minute thing with no innovation. Some people will try to rationalize this by saying they're adding new story cutscenes and a challenge mode, but what do these things actually do? How do these two things change or evolve the experience of the original game? The challenge mode just sounds like post-game busywork, and these new story cutscenes just feel like an excuse to drag out the playtime. But oh, there is a new co-op mode that makes use of the Switch 2's mouse controls. Yeah, good luck finding another person to play with in an era where couch co-op is practically extinct. Judging by what was shown in these trailers, this remake just feels completely pointless. There is nothing in here that you can possibly get by just playing the original on an emulator. And the new story cutscenes just don't look interesting. They all look boring and dim, not to mention the awkward pacing they have. This new prologue they threw in is really in one ear and out the other with how fast it is. There's no proper establishment or build up to anything. It's just James dying after Pigma betrays them, which even the most novice Star Fox fans with the concept of reading can follow. If they're all gonna be like this, just rapid firing the story beats with no sense of tension, then why even bother? And maybe it's just a me thing, but even the voice acting feels off. The original voice acting was cheesy, but that helped to give the game its original charm. You got a feel for each of the characters' personalities through their mannerisms and how they spoke, which also gave a diverse feel to their dialogue. And the compressed audio made it more immersive, like they were actually communicating through intercoms. But in this remake, the voice readings are so bland. There's a lack of diversity and personality to how they speak, and they all have the same generic tone. And they also removed the compressed intercom sound design, which removes the immersion from the original game. Really? Why should I be impressed with this remake when the only thing it has to offer is up-to-date graphics? The original Star Fox 64 doesn't need up-to-date graphics because its art style is timeless. It properly utilized the limitations of the N64's polygons to create a believable immersive world with all sorts of engaging designs. It wasn't focused on being realistic. It was focused on being creative and imaginative with how everything was built. This remake removes the imagination in favor of just making it more shiny. It's very upsetting that they even thought of doing this because it removes the timeless feel of the original. With remakes like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Gears of War, it made sense for them to do up-to-date graphics because they didn't subtract from the art style of the original games. They were going for hyper-realistic designs beforehand, which they could only do so much due to the limitations of the hardware. But now they were capable of doing that to completion because of how newer hardware removed those limitations. But Star Fox wasn't going for hyper-realism. It was going for a colorful, lighthearted, and family-friendly vibe that gave each Nintendo game its iconic design. I don't want to say Nintendo did this because they hate Star Fox, considering how much oversaturation they've been giving the IP lately. If anything, they actually hate F-Zero. But this remake does not do the franchise any favors, and it doesn't deserve anything more than being ignored by the general public and forgotten about when it releases. So anyone watching this video, do not buy Star Fox 2026 when it comes out. Get Resident Evil Requiem instead. At least it's a proper sequel and an actual new game. There is nothing new about this latest Nintendo cash grab. It's a boring, lazy, unimpressive excuse for a remake, and yet another reason to boycott the Switch 2.